Let's go as deep as we fucking can, people. All right, here. You want to start with octopuses? Let's start with octopuses. Who has an octopus story?
Actually, Joe, one you might not know, Jacy. I was because I kept seeing that, and I know you know about the interdimensional layers, as above, so below. There's those entities exist on every level. They have to. That's
they have to.
Yeah, that's part of the.
That's why it's
a holographic structure of the universe. So everything's compressed into the level. So, like, I see them; they're attacking people, but then it's really an attack on the Earth Mother and even the galactic core. So I see them at every level. But then I was looking at. So I'm in Bendigo, and there's we're a big gold mining area, and I've been able to find some of the ley lines around this area and like where they're running that. But then there's a new gold excavation company that came in from Canada, and it's called Leviathan, which is this octopus tentacle. And I was like, that was the final straw for me. I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of this town now. And it was just like that mad synchronicity. But yeah, to me, it was they're like these lower astral things that are just running wild at the moment, but they're AI. Yeah. To me, they're AI.
Yeah.
And, it's because to me, I've said like the satanic force can't exist here anymore. That force is being rid, and they're sort of so that's why the whole AI is creeping in, the vaccine. All that is because
that's right.
The synthetic is allowed to come in. It's allowed to create an overlay but that satanic force can't be here. So they're running wild to try and form a synthetic overlay. But that's what I'm seeing them as, and they're attaching onto people that are waking up or that are of higher consciousness to trap them at that level.
Higher consciousness.
Is that, if that's not crazy, but that's sort of how I'll say it.
I concur.
No, that's true. So that it is multi-layered. I know Kelly's got a story as well, but I wanted to talk about how, so I've always known about this octopus for quite some years. I've seen it over towns. When I was driving through to Snowy Mountains, and on my way there, I went through Canberra, and I didn't even realise I was in Canberra. The whole sort of shit happened with my GPS. You have no idea what happened. Oh, man. My GPS went haywire, took me off the main road. I went down this country town, not just by myself with my daughter. I was like, oh, that's a nice Airbnb. And then in my head, I heard, this is where they traffic children. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, what? Where would that thought come from? And then the GPS took me to this abandoned railway line. And I was like, this is where they bring the children and they take them to the train tracks down to Canberra. And I was like, where are these thoughts coming from? And I just had all these ideas. Anyway, I told my friend who used to live in Canberra, whose son ended up being an SRA victim, who got taken off her, and she knew all about. When I told her the town's name, she said, "That's a satanic town, 100%. I know it," and blah blah blah. So anyway, as I was walking through, so this is just telling you how satanic Canberra is. As I'm driving through, I didn't even realise I was at Canberra. I just see Lake George because I'd never driven this way. And I was like, what the fuck is that, right? And all of a sudden, as I'm getting up to Canberra, I feel this oppressive grid thing. I just felt it, this energy of this grid, and I could feel this octopus, but I also saw in my head this reptilian head. I don't know how to explain it, but I knew it and I felt it, and I felt it underground, and I felt it above my head, and I felt sick. And as soon as I got out of there, as soon as I got out of that area, I was fine. I just felt this like a grid. So that tells you that there is certain things and energies, and this is why they're trying to push us into these city centres, these smart sort of city centres. I feel it. A lot of sensitive people feel it. I live in the Blue Mountains, and even though we're still, it's quite populated here, but you've got areas where there is peace and that kind of feeling. So my friend 3 weeks ago, I was working with a shaman overseas, and his wife got attacked suddenly. And it's a long story, but he was clearing a demon. It's a long story, okay? And it came through AI. It came through the internet, okay? And she didn't know. She opened an email, and it came through that way, the attack. A long story with that, because the person that they thought sent the email didn't send the email. So the shaman thought he was working with a client to help her. We found out the woman didn't even send the email. It was demonic. The email came through like an AI thing, and it attacked the wife. So anyway, my friend and we were all going to send healing to this woman. And my friend got hit and got really sick, like really, really sick. Lungs were burning, exactly what you would describe as COVID. And anyway, I went in to heal her and help her, and I wanted to tap in and see what was going on. And what I saw was this, I saw this black octopus, not just over her town. She's in Victoria, putting through this very oppressive energy. But I then saw like a huge overlay of the world, and it was like I was rising above into just blackness, and I could see the world, and I could see all these little octopuses over different towns. And then also this major big motherfucker, like a big mothership octopus, and it had this huge black tentacles, and I saw these points of light across the world. So every time someone was, like a light worker was shining their light or trying to raise their frequency, this octopus was like and whipping them and hitting them, and it was like a barb at the end. And so the message I got, or the feeling I got, was that this was like, it was like an electronic, robotic, almost AI type octopus, but it was hitting anyone who was slightly weakened, and it would hit them in a weak spot. So if they were a light worker and their energy is quite bright, usually this octopus could see them if they had not been protected, and it would go into a weak spot either in the body. So like if you're a smoker, for example, it will go into your lungs, or if you have a trauma or something somewhere in your body, it will hit that spot and it will hook in. So that's on an energetic level. And then you've got the 3D level would be real parasites. So like if you've got a lot of parasites and you're not detoxing and doing regular things, that's also an energetic way. And then you've got people as well with their own things that work through them, the AI, the Wetiko, whatever you want to call it, it works through them, and that can affect us as well in a parasitic way. So yeah, there's lots of, anyway, and I did see that when I looked at my friend just really quickly, it was wrapping tentacles around her lungs and also in her head. And we had to remove it. And there was all these angelics that came in, and spirit guides that came in and helped. So yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy war.
I'm seeing them latching onto, like the one that went onto me, and then it had multiple cords to other people around me to hurt everyone else connected to me.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like I felt disgusting. It's like I've done it to them, because that's what it does too. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it was doing it to her whole household, by the way. Yeah,
it goes after everyone else, and I'm like, fuck.
It works through the electronics as well, I noticed. Yeah. So it was something to do with the 5G or 4G, the Wi-Fi stuff. So it works through that. There's something, I don't know. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, do you have an octopus story, Cambell?
I think.
You got an octopus story, buddy? Do you have an octopus story? I've got one.
I've just moved. I've had no energy. Like, I don't get like attacked. Well, not anymore anyway. I just get my energy sapped. Like I wake up I lost 3 hours yesterday. I woke up at 7 and I was feeling, oh yeah, I'm really, really good. And then literally half an hour later, I sat down and it was like 10:30, and I hadn't done anything. Like there was nothing in the time to fill it out. And I was just like freaking out going, what? And I was so tired. I was suddenly like, oh my God, I need to go to sleep again. But I've just moved, and electronics, oh my God, privacy stuff, all this stuff you've got to go through to get into your own accounts, all this password crap. That's a big scam. That's them getting into our information, because my phone got shut off. They decided to turn my phone off on the weekend, and then I had no internet. So I'm trying to start up a laptop. Couldn't get into anything because everything has to be verified through your phone. I couldn't get onto anywhere. Couldn't even get into my Gmail unless I could get this stuff. So it just shows you this octopus. That's it, right? That's literally it. It's all the tentacles going out between all the different stuff we have online, all the social media. It's getting in there, and always under the guise of, oh, we're doing it to help you. Oh yeah, well, it's for your protection and your privacy. But no one wants it. No one wants this stuff. You put a password in it and it says, no, I'm sorry, I don't like that password. You're going to have to change it. So, what the
it's all designed to fuck with our heads, man. Like, You know, they talk about the dark
It
web. Yeah, like that's the truth behind the internet. It's this energetic. My little octopus story started in 2017 because I had a best friend who had bipolar, and she was my bestest friend ever. I spent 4 years with her. We had always beautiful time. I loved her. And this last time she went manic, and then she started tuning into the Galactic Federation with Asta, and started doing this number sequence 10010 over and over again in this sort of like ritualistic way. And then she said to me, I've just been and met the mother, Kelly, the mother. She said it's a giant black octopus, and it's the biggest arch nemesis of the entire realm. And this octopus is the mothership. It's an octopus. And I've just been there, and, you know, I spoke to her, and now we're friends. And after that, she went into, and has to this day, 4 or 5 years later, this psychotic hatred of wanting to kill me. And it was like this energy went through, and she opened up. The reason I'm telling that story is because I noted the octopus of her, because they're quite shamanic. They're often another frequency band. So when I got to my farm this time to do the renos I'm working on, I did a clearing with a friend of mine, a beautiful wizard. And immediately as he started talking, I went immediately to this black octopus. So this is about a week ago. And it was across the whole realm. Like it literally was as big as our night sky, you know, that the night sky. Yeah. And it went over the whole realm. And at first it was like, just, it wasn't in organic, it wasn't in details, just like, it felt like black goo smoke, but in the shape of an octopus. And so immediately, and I didn't try to do this, it's just what actually happened. I immediately went and started changing its color. And as I changed its color, it went from red to blues and eventually ended up in this pinky color. And as it started to get pink, it started to get smaller, and it started to move into more organic detail and shape, right to this moment where it became this tiny, absolutely beautiful, beautiful looking, perfect pink octopus. Immediately when I saw that, there was the member of the, I'm just telling you what happened. The member of the Galactic Federation of Light was immediately there with a glass jar, took the octopus off me, put it in this glass jar in this like iridescent bluey crystal stuff, carried it very carefully to this glass room, crystal glass room, and put it on a shelf. And there was all these jars full of these tiny, beautiful, different colored octopuses. And at that moment, the representative turned to me and said, "Thank you so much. We've been waiting for you to do this." And like immediately, it was like a big celebration. So like that's what happened to me as I tuned in to clear this space. But what became obvious to me is this octopus symbology and our workers, light workers, sort of clearing it spontaneously, because no one can tell you to do that. It's just something that's got to spontaneously occur out of your intuitive spiritual imagination. And then immediately, honestly, the next day, the flood started, and I told Jacy, and she was like, "I just had an octopus story as well." So there's like some very strong connection between what's happening with the transmutation of these entities, because then I asked, what does the octopus represent? And they said to me, it is emotional intelligence, and it's yours, as in it's ours, as in this represents the emotional intelligence and chaos of our most like flipped upside down shadow sides. And as we spontaneously awaken as light workers and spontaneously do crazy stuff like that, and then have those visuals run through our mind and totally follow through with the process, we're like organically and naturally, without any training, changing it. You know, we're actually affecting it. We're changing them, we're transmuting them.
We keep thinking that everything is outside of us and there's an enemy, but it's us split up, you know, because we're all fractals of God, and we created this simulation. Okay, so we created the duality, so the shadow part of us is what triggers the octopus, right? Yeah. It's the dark part. So if I flipped what I said around and said, okay, so this thing is attacking us and it's hooking into our duck, maybe it's doing us a service. Maybe it's pointing out to us what it is that it is our weakness, and what it is that we need to get rid of, what it is that is harming us, the 5G, the radiation, all of that stuff. Maybe that's what it's here to do. There's always a good side to everything. There's always a lesson behind everything. I find it interesting, Kelly, that I forgot about the smoke. I didn't describe what I saw exactly, but I did see the whole realm. I saw this. It was like it had no form really. It was like a head and energy coming out, or tentacles, but behind it was this black smoky mist, and it was mutating into demonic faces and different like scary images and skulls and demons and things. And I noticed that as it concentrated, or the fear of that region was amping up, this would mutate. So it was holographic. It would mutate into whatever the fear was of the region below. And that's how it was fed. That was what the AI is. So if we think about that, it's an artificial intelligence in that it is programmable, and then it reacts to the programmable matter in us. And I think that graphene oxide is the interface for this thing, and for the archons or whatever you want to call them, Wetiko, whatever it is. That's how it gets into us. So maybe this is all doing us a service, the shadow side, to show us what we need to transmute so that we can evolve as beings and remember who we are.